Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of College Hockey Talk. On today's podcast, I'm joined by a very special guest. Sophomore from the LIU women's hockey team, Renee Hoffman, joins the show today. Renee, welcome to the podcast, and how's everything going?
Everything's good, Matt. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it myself. Now, what have you been up to since the season ended a few months ago? Anything interesting?
Yeah, I just came back from Hawaii. I've been doing some postseason workouts and just catching up with some family and friends.
That's awesome to hear. And how was the trip to Hawaii? I know we talked a little bit about it before we started this podcast, but anything you'd like to share from that vacation?
Yeah, it was awesome. I saw a rainbow every single day, so nice weather. Yeah.
Nice, nice. And did you get to see like any like coconut trees, palm trees, beaches, stuff like that? I've never been to Hawaii, so I don't really know too much about it.
Yeah, I saw a lot of those and nice mountains and waterfalls, so definitely would encourage you to go.
Definitely. Well, hopefully one day I get enough money and can get down there as soon as I can. But it looks like a super nice place to visit.
Yeah.
Um, but let's start a little bit talking about your off-season plans. What do you hope to work on during the off-season? Anything a part of your game that you want to improve on the most?
Yeah, I actually started like a 3 workouts per day challenge. I like walk for an hour and then I hit cardio for like 45 minutes, which involves like beach runs, stairs, and then I do a full lift. And I just work on some shooting and explosiveness.
Nice. And have you had any challenges finding ice time? Just because I know last year a lot of players were really struggling finding ice time and gym time as well since everything was shut down.
Yeah, I have a really hard time finding some ice, but I just built a gym in my yard, so I'm really excited to use it this summer.
Nice. And is it a little bit different working out at home versus the gym just because you don't have the equipment that the gym has? So is it a lot of body weight workouts, band workouts, things like that?
Yeah, usually more like body weight. I have like a barbell, but yeah, the gym like outside is way better for sure.
Definitely, definitely. Well, let's transition a little bit and talk about the beginning of your hockey career and work all the way up to where you are now with LAU. So you're from Staten Island. Talk about growing up there and how did you start playing hockey? I've been to Staten Island one time in my life, so I don't really know too much about it.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, really? That's cool. So when I was 4 years old, my twin sister Julia and we saw my brother playing hockey at his travel team, and we like fell in love with the sport immediately. Like we were doing dance at the time, and we like begged my mom to play, and soon enough, we've been playing since then.
And who was your favorite player growing up?
Oh, I'm not a Pitts fan, but definitely Sidney Crosby for sure.
Yeah, and did you get any trouble for being a fan of a Penguins player growing up in New York?
Yeah, not a lot of people liked me for it, but hey, he's so good. Who doesn't want to be him?
Definitely, definitely. He's a great player, but also a great person off the ice, and I love his perspective on the game. I think that's what makes him one of the best players in the NHL, in my opinion.
I agree. I totally agree.
Now, what's the New York hockey scene like? I'm curious about it because it's obviously growing, especially with the LIU men's team that just started this past season. The women's team has obviously been very successful as well. Just talk about the hockey scene in New York and just how it's growing and just how big it is, and what's it like being a player in that whole hockey scene.
Yeah. So personally, I love it. Like you never hear like a kid from the city like making it this far. So I'm really honored to be from here. And like the only like downfall for it is definitely you have to travel outside the states to get some ice, which is okay. But yeah.
Yeah, and you before LIU, you played for the New Jersey Rockets in the EWHC. How'd you get the opportunity to play with that organization?
Well, I had very little like knowledge about girls hockey. It was like the closest organization like to home, but my family and I just kind of knew like it'd be our gateway to potentially playing college hockey. But we're so lucky and fortunate to have landed there and get some ice and meet some great people along the way.
Now, did you play boys hockey before you transitioned into girls hockey? And if so, what was that transition like for yourself?
Oh yeah, the transition was so hard, mainly because I didn't know we couldn't hit in girls hockey. Definitely boys, 100%.
Mhm. Do you think hitting should be allowed in women's hockey, in your opinion?
Yeah, we work out like men do, so why not? It'll
Hmm.
be fun.
Who's the best checker on the LIU women's hockey team? I'm curious about that.
Oh my God. Oh, maybe my sister, honestly. She's always so feisty. She likes getting nitty gritty in the corners.
Yeah, and I think also hitting would allow the refereeing to be easier because a lot of time when you watch women's hockey, the refs are sometimes very lenient on what's a body check, and sometimes they're very strict. And I feel
Yeah,
like if you add hitting to women's hockey, the refs would not have to have dance up between that line of what's hit and what's not a hit.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
Now, talk about your experience with the New Jersey Rockets and what was your favorite memory with that team?
Yeah, so like going back, it was my first experience being on a girls' team, but by far my favorite memory is being coached by Madison Packer. She currently plays for the New York Riveters, and she's just an awesome person to be coached by.
Yeah, and she obviously played for Wisconsin as well. Did you
Yeah,
try to pick her brain a little bit about her perspective on the game and how did she help your hockey development before college?
yeah. I've always asked her questions, and she was so like open and helpful to like giving good feedback. So she's an awesome person to talk to.
And how did your experience with the Rockets help prepare you for college hockey with LIU?
Yeah, so like at the time I was playing boys travel and I was also playing like my high school team. But there was just like playing on the Rockets was just like a good way to get extra ice and being along a girls' team.
Yeah, and playing for two different teams, I guess in high school, how did you try to manage your time playing for both teams and just playing for two teams? Does that help your development at all?
Yeah, I really did. I loved it. It kept me busy and kept me out of trouble.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your recruitment process. What was that like for yourself and what made you want to go to LIU?
Yeah, this is actually funny because ironically, I got recruited on being of my like on a boys team for my high school, but I chose this school because you can't be being close to home and playing D1 in the city.
Nice. And just what's the school like off ice, just the campus itself, and what's your overall like? What's the overall vibe like?
I love the people. I love like how everyone is like so sports orientated and like everyone's just really close and it's small. So you know everyone, you know all the gossip.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And what was the biggest adjustment you had to make to college hockey? Was it the speed of the game or just the mental side of the game since you're making quicker decisions with the puck?
I think both, but because like prior to coming to campus, I had very little knowledge in conditioning and lifting. So within the year, I had to make an effort to teach myself about that stuff.
And in your first 2 years at LIU, what's the biggest improvement you've made to your game?
Adapting the team culture, learning quickly, and being there every day, or because you never know when someone could take your spot.
And in your first year with LIU, you played against Wisconsin, who was the number one team at the time. What was it like to play that team and get that experience, especially since it was your first ever college hockey game?
Yeah, such a surreal feeling. Although we lost terribly, I was honored to get the chance to even verse them. I think we do way better now since we know each other and we're just all gelled, you know?
Hmm. Definitely. And what's it like playing in the NEWHA and just the competition you face every night? Because I know this past year you only played Sacred Heart in your conference, but in your freshman year, what's the other teams like playing in that division?
So, as a new team, I think it was awesome. We got to play as much as we did and win two titles within our first 2 years. It was also a great way to get us ready for potentially being in the Frozen Four because with a non conference game thrown in there.
Yeah, definitely. And I was reading something about the NWEHA and just how like they're officially allowed to be in the tournament next year because apparently it takes a few years once you become Division One conference to even qualify for the tournament. Does
Yeah,
that make it even better, I guess, knowing that you have a chance to make it in now?
yeah, I'm so happy. Like, we're all so happy. You get a chance to be in the like big guy show, you know?
Definitely. And just you all, and another thing I found interesting about yourself is you also get to play with your twin sister Julia. What's it like playing with her in college and just growing up having a sibling in hockey?
Yeah, I love it. Not really sure how my team feels about it, but when we're like usually line mates, so practice time calls for fight time. I actually think our team like when we fight. We all seem to laugh, and our coach usually like makes us hug it out, so it's kind of embarrassing.
Is there any sibling rivalries that happen during the game or just off the ice as well?
Oh yeah, all the time, always at each other's throats.
Or some of the rivalries that have like do you guys like ever fight about who scores the most goals, assists,
Oh
stuff
yeah,
like that?
oh yeah, we're always competing against each other.
Now, who's the oldest and who's the youngest twin?
Julia's the oldest. We're a minute apart.
Oh wow, that's awesome. Does she ever bug you about that? Because I know that happens sometimes with the twins that I know.
Oh yeah, all the time.
Don't worry, I'm the youngest, so it's not really a big deal in my opinion.
Exactly.
Mhm. Now, in your freshman season, you won the NEWHA finals. Just what was going through your head when you won that trophy, and talk about winning your conference in your first year.
Oh, I was so happy. I couldn't be more proud of my team winning something we all longed for. We worked so hard despite the challenges we faced as a new team. Like, we got all this hate, but even after we won, we still got hate, but we just pushed through it.
Yeah, and your team didn't let in a single goal throughout the entire playoff run. Talk about your team's defensive play in the playoffs and just the play of your goaltender, Kenzie Harmanson.
Yeah, Kenzie was a true stud in that net for that weekend. Awesome. I thank God every day for her, honestly. She saves all my heart attacks on the ice. But as a team collectively, it was a mutual sense of go time. And we just had to go and stick together and dig deep.
And what's the defensive system like, and how do you try to prepare for teams defensively?
We usually just like watch a lot of film and we try to go from that perspective.
Now, this past season was a very different compared to other seasons in the past just because of the pandemic. How did you mentally deal with, I guess, dealing with all the COVID protocols, getting tested on a consistent basis?
Yeah, I believe like all the teams in the league faced adversity like we did. We just had a better way of overcoming it because of our coaching staff. For like not 1 minute did they let us let us think that a virus would stop us from playing hockey. And I also unfortunately lost my father during the journey, but you have to learn to push your personal problems to the side and push through it.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess, like, did you have the chance to go home at all? Because I know some teams didn't even get the opportunity to see their families throughout the season because of the restrictions that were upon certain teams and conferences.
Yeah, I live like literally an hour away, so I got to go home a lot.
And did it help having a sibling during that time period just because it's someone you know and grew up with?
Yeah, she was definitely my go-to for the time being.
Now, you had to deal with a lot of schedule changes throughout the past season, especially during the beginning of your season. How did you mentally stay prepared for all those changes and postponements that happened to your schedule? And what was the key for maintaining flexibility for this season?
Personally, like my goal was to just keep going. I'm getting the chance to play like during a pandemic. Not everyone can say that they did that. So yeah, that's just my best advice. Keep going.
And you only played one team in your conference. Was that an adjustment for yourself?
Yeah, I think most of us didn't enjoy playing the same team, but we definitely like learned and practiced from it.
And what's the preparation process like playing the same team over and over again?
Just basically, even if we did one, don't like get too deep in your head. You just gotta keep winning and never let them overcome you.
And you also didn't play in front of any fans this year. What was that like, not playing in front of the crowd, and how did you adjust to that?
Yeah, I believe it had a big impact. It made me less motivated, but not too much. I miss seeing my mom in the stands. She's a trooper. She never missed one game last year.
And something else that was introduced to college hockey this year was 3-on-3 overtime. As an offensive player like yourself, what was it like having more space and offensive opportunities during those overtime situations?
I think this is great. It allows like more deception, fast attacks, more risk, and adrenaline's high. I think it only takes one person to make the right move for your team to win it all.
Yeah, and it also showcases the skills of many of the top college hockey players in the country like yourself. So that's one reason why I enjoy it.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you.
And another thing is it eliminates ties. And I don't know about yourself, but I absolutely hate ties, especially when you go to a game and you see one. It's pretty disappointing. I don't know if you feel the same way.
No, I totally agree too.
Now, you got to play a lot of non-conference games this past season, however. What's it like playing those non-conference teams like Clarkson and Quinnipiac, and just how does that help your team's development as a program?
Yeah, although challenging or still blessed to experience and prepare for the future, it's fast paced and more physical, which is great for our team because we're always leading penalties. But yeah, that's okay.
And you won the Commissioner's Cup this past season, beating Sacred Heart. Just talk about winning that trophy and what did it mean to yourself?
Yeah, it's one thing to win twice in a row, but winning during a pandemic is unbelievable to me. We had a tough time overcoming it together, but through team meetings and pouring our heart outs to each other, it made it easier to be united.
And what was going through your head when you were lifting up that trophy for the first time this past season?
I was so happy. I think we all earned it for sure.
And just thinking about next year, what are some of your goals and expectations?
Well, first, win again. I want to be a better shooter and team player, and definitely less fighting with Julia.
Hmm. And what type of leadership do you hope to bring to next year? Obviously, you're going to be an upperclassman. So, is there any particular leadership that you want to bring? Are you more of a vocal or lead by example type of player?
I'm kind of both. I would definitely say both. I would like to set the right examples and be kind and show how the Sharks are supposed to play and bring that energy always.
Now, something that I saw on the LIU women's hockey Instagram today was that fans can buy your jersey. I
Mhm.
guess explain a little bit about that because I thought that was really interesting.
Oh yeah, so you can go on that website and customize your own jersey, whatever name you want. You put a letter, number, whatever you want, and yeah, wear it to the games or just keep it in your house. It's just for personal reasons.
That's awesome. Well, I encourage all of our fans that are listening to this podcast to get a Renee Hoffman customized jersey. That'll be awesome. Just tell the fans what number you wear.
Oh yeah, I'm number 27 on the ice.
Awesome, awesome. So make sure you get that. That's a really cool thing, and I wish more college hockey teams would do that because I don't usually see that. So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty unique.
So we're now in a segment I like to call the non-hockey segment, where I ask you some non-hockey questions. So my first question to you is, what's your favorite class at school?
Oh, favorite class would definitely be psychology. It's good to be knowledgeable in the class and then go home and show what you know.
Nice. Do you ever? My sister was a psychology major back in the day, so she would always like say these random things about like every time we had arguments and fights, like, oh, this is like something blah 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 blah. Do you ever do that? Because I feel like a lot of those psychology major people do that.
Yep, literally related to my life all the time.
That's awesome. And obviously, did you have to do online classes this year, and how was that an adjustment?
Yeah, it was actually easy like adjustment. I did it mostly like them in high school. I loved it. I think it helps me time manage with hockey and everything else going on.
I agree with you. I actually am starting to like the online classes a little more than in person just because of the time management reasons, and it's a little bit easier. The only thing I don't like about it is just the interactions you get with the professor because whenever you have a question, it takes a little bit longer for them to respond to it than if
Yep.
it was in person.
Same, I agree.
How do you deal with the Zoom breakout rooms? Because that is something that is super awkward. I have to deal with them on a consistent basis. How do you deal with them?
Um, I'm I'm a very extroverted like person. I love socializing. It doesn't really bother me. Most of my climate like my classmates would be very like quiet, so I don't really care. I'll do all the talking.
Yeah, that's fine. The thing with me though, like I had the most awkward Zoom breakout meeting experience ever because one time this person microphone wasn't working for some reason. So basically, I was just talking to myself while they were typing out like all their responses, and they didn't even have their camera on. It was so awkward.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
Now, what music do you like to listen to before a game, or just on a consistent general basis?
Yeah, I mostly listen to EDM and rap. That's top two for sure.
Nice. Who's your go-to EDM artist?
Oh, I like Diplo. Yeah,
Nice.
Diplo.
I'm more of a Kygo, Martin Garrix type of guy. I know it's a bit mainstream for some people, but I think it's really good.
No, I agree. I like them too.
Have you ever seen some of these artists in concerts before?
No, but I do want to go to the rave in Netherlands. I think it's called Tomorrowland, but I
Oh
definitely
yeah.
been there.
Yeah, no, I heard it's super expensive, but it's like an experience of a lifetime. They do it in different parts of Europe though. So I don't know what the travel's like just because of what's going on now, but I think it's going to be in Belgium soon, so hopefully I get the chance to do that soon.
Same.
Now, what's your favorite TV show to watch and which character from that show would be the best hockey player in your opinion?
Oh, I don't think he would be the best, but I like Teen Wolf, and there's this character named Styles, played by Dylan O'Brien. But he's a good sidekick, and I think we all need a good sidekick.
Definitely. What's your favorite food?
I'm a mac and cheese type of gal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Annie's or like Kraft? I'm more of an Annie's guy.
I like Kraft. Kraft is original.
Oof, I have to disagree with you on that. I apologize.
And
Now let's talk a little bit about your teammates. Who's the funniest teammate you have at LIU?
oh, funniest, definitely Grace Dima. She is crazy. She's number 7, but she's a good time. She's wild.
Now you obviously have the best style on the team, but besides yourself, who has the best style on the LIU women's hockey team?
Oh, Matilda Akbar. She knows how to bring the Sweden swag to the States. She knows how to rock a pair of Balenciagas for sure.
That's awesome. And is there like any process for getting ready for game days? Because at least for myself, being a guy's hockey player, usually you just throw on the suit with the tie and that's it. There's really no thought that goes into a pregame. But I feel bad sometimes for the women's hockey players because you have so much to choose from.
Yeah, I wish I could just throw on a suit. I always plan my clothes the night out before with a nice pair of heels, but yeah, it's a lot of long process.
Do you ever match up with your sister or you guys try to separate yourselves?
No, we separate ourselves. So embarrassed to look like her. I already have the same face as her.
Now, which teammate is the best trash talker on the team?
I think Stella Scott. She's number 20. she always ready and rowdy to go.
Has she drawn any penalties this year because of it?
Actually, no. She's kind of quiet this year. I guess she didn't want any secret heart heat, but yeah, usually
Hmm.
her.
Now, if you could have lunch with anyone in the world, who would it be and why?
Anyone in the world? Um,
Dead or alive, it doesn't matter.
oh, definitely my dad again. I miss him, and I
Hmm.
would love to see him again.
What would you ask him?
Um, if heaven's real.
Hmm. That's a good question. I would definitely ask my grandparents that,
Yeah.
just because they're not here as well. Now, last non-hockey question for you is: what is the most interesting thing you've seen or read this past week?
Anything interesting I've seen?
Hmm.
I actually saw a turtle in Hawaii, like real close to my face. So yeah, that was the most interesting thing I've seen.
Yeah, what is it? Was it like a sea turtle or like one of those sand turtles? I don't know too much about it.
It was like a big sea turtle. He's like about 2 feet, I'm gonna say. Yeah, he's pretty big.
Is it like Crush from Finding Nemo? Like that? Those things
Yeah,
are sick. That's always reminds me of that character whenever I see one of those on TV.
yeah, right. Yeah.
Hmm. Did you do any like scuba diving at all or something like that? Because I've always wanted to do it, but there's not that much like fresh water here in the
Yeah,
East Coast.
yeah. I went snuba actually. I actually went to Hawaii with my boyfriend and we did it together. We were like walking on the seafloor and it was cool.
That's awesome. Now I have to ask you this because you're from Staten Island. What's your thoughts on the King of Staten Island movie with Pete Davidson? Because I saw it recently and I thought it was one of the funniest movies of the past year.
Yeah, actually, Pete Davidson went to my high school. He is a little bit older than me, but yeah, I feel like it's not Staten Island though. I feel like it's a fake depiction of Staten Island.
Yeah. Have you ever gotten the chance to meet him before?
No, but I think I've seen him. I think I've seen him around the parks or something.
That's awesome. I heard he still lives down there, so maybe one day you just run into him. That'd be pretty funny.
Yeah, I definitely would say hi. That's crazy.
Yeah, one question that we sometimes ask for the non-hockey segment is if someone could play you in a movie, who would it be? And for me, it'd always be Pete Davidson, uh, just because we don't look alike, but I feel like he's so funny and he has my sense of humor, so I feel like he would depict my life pretty well.
That's so true. He is funny. For me, it would probably be Blake Lively. She's Ryan Reynolds' wife, but
Hmm.
she has like the same personality as me. She's like very outgoing and stuff. So yeah.
That's awesome. Are you a Gossip Girl fan?
Of course, yes.
I've seen one episode. It was pretty good. I could definitely use a guilty pleasure show. I've only seen one episode though, so I got to watch more. But I don't usually have time to do it because I'm busy with school and hockey.
Yeah, same, same.
But I did like that Penn Badgley character. Everyone says he's not that good towards the end of the show, but he was nice during the first episode, so he seemed like a good guy.
Yeah.
Now back to some hockey questions. Now, my first question to you is: what advice would you give a younger player who's trying to make it to college hockey?
Never let anyone discourage you from your dreams. Push through the challenges and never give up. And don't care what happens to others around you. Only care about your personal desires.
And if for all the LIU women's hockey fans that are listening to this podcast right now, what message do you have for them?
Um, Never like I said, never give up. Just keep going. You can make it anywhere.
Now, what should be done to help grow women's hockey, in your opinion?
Definitely normalize that women can play a man's sport and increase the pay. I think that would definitely get more women to like further their goal in this sport.
Now, you've obviously been playing hockey since you were a kid, so just talk about the progress that has been made for women's hockey since you were a kid to where you are now in college hockey.
I feel besides creating the NWHL, I think nothing where I live has done to like promote women's in like sports. But yeah, I wish there was more around my area.
Hmm. And just obviously the World Championships, I don't know if you saw this news, was canceled and then rescheduled for some time in August. What was your reaction to that?
Yeah, I was really surprised. I mean, it's kind of upsetting. Everyone's getting ready and bulking and doing what they got to do to be there at their best and peak performance. So yeah, it's kind of discouraging to the players.
Now, we'll end off on this. Do you have any shout outs you'd like to give to any of your teammates, family members, friends, anyone in particular? Feel free to shout them out now. Obviously, we'll shout out your sister, Julia, but if there's anyone else I forgot to mention, feel free to shout them out now.
Yeah, shout out to my family and friends for all the love and the support, and to all my teammates who were there with me through it all.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Renee. I really appreciate your first ever women's hockey LIU player on the show. So it means a lot for me that you came on. You're one of my favorite players on the team. I just want to let you know that, but you're also an even better person off the ice. And I also want to let you know that. So thank you for coming on. It really means a lot.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me, Matt.
Take care, stay safe, and I'll talk to you soon.
That sounds good. Thank you.
Now, I have one question.